Hugo arrives, and hours later, Jade dies. July 2018, I got hit with massive tragedy. I lost my soulmate, my wife, my lover, hours after birth, and I was left with our only first son. We bought a beautiful barn conversion in September 2015. After that point then, it was to create a family and have our first child. Jade had a brilliant 9 months.
Did she?
Yeah. Her last 12 months on this planet, she visited 9 countries.
Wow.
Weekends away with the girls, holidays with me, family. Just phenomenal. I never got to say goodbye to Jade. She was just pushed out the delivery room, just like that. Gone. I'm sleep deprived. How am I going to get energy? How am I going to dig myself out of this hole? How am I going to try and think differently, or just try and find a tiny bit of light going forward in amongst this absolute tragedy and chaos? I've got Hugo, a newborn baby. Jade has died, and I've gone back home to our family home. We would have been together for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
You know, Jade lost 50 years of her life. I lost 50 years with Jade. Hugo doesn't have a mother. Grief is the hardest thing, alongside bringing a child into this world, that we will experience as human beings. The end.
Before you start this episode, please can you click subscribe below and follow our social handles in the description. It's a massive help, and it keeps you up to date with all the exciting announcements from the podcast. Rick, thank you very much for joining us today. Really appreciate you giving us some time.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here today. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, mate. Right, we're going to start by putting you on the spot. Every sit down that we do with whoever it is, I put people on the spot with the first question. So what I want you to do is take no more than a minute and just try and cover everything that's happened in your life in the last 5 years. So from 5 years ago to now, try and see if you can get through it in under a minute.
What, just everything?
Absolutely everything.
Right.
So Rick 2018 to Rick 2023 in a minute.
Right.
You reckon you're up for the challenge?
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Yeah, you're going to have to kind of skip over bits and pieces, but I'll hand it over to you. There's your minute.
1 minute. July 2018, I got hit with massive tragedy. I lost my soulmate, my wife, my lover, hours after birth, and I was left with our only first son. And from that point, I had to move through deep grief, shock, loss, trauma, tragedy, and do my very best, really, to be a sole parent. And ultimately, then that moved through to me finding a way to, number one, needing an outlet, and number two, believing in myself. I went on this massive running journey. I did 10k runs in memory of Jade, I did a half marathon, I did full marathon in memory of Jade. And then lockdown hit, and we were like, bang, what's going on? I had all these ideas from running, and then moved those ideas and started to take action in lockdown. The short story is, I have 5 children's books, 5 children's bereavement books, and 2 adult books, various different memory websites. And then recently, I've just created a podcast called Real with Rick, which shares my journey of loss and everything that happened from that point going forward.
I think you've done a pretty good job. I didn't time it, but it's there or thereabouts, isn't it?
Yeah,
you were under a couple of minutes at least.
Right.
Well, look, there's some really hard-hitting stuff in there, and some stuff that I really want to dig into, because, you know, like I said before we come on, we've gone out on social media, and there is a lot of people out there that tune into the podcast that have lost in one way, shape or form, whether that be partners, kids, people close to them. And I think there's a lot of stuff knowing and looking into and doing research on your kind of story as such and your journey. There's so much that I think people, when they listen to this podcast, can learn about and take information and take really positive stuff from. What I'm just interested in as well is just going prior to obviously the 2018. What was kind of your sort of life and relationship before?
So I met Jade when she was 17 and I was 18.
Okay.
Childhood sweetheart.
Long time ago, eh?
Yes, a long time ago. I'm
Less wrinkles for us all.
That's it, yeah, 39 now. So me and Jade met when we were teenagers. And, you know, we got through, you know, sixth form, college, university, you know, with some ups and downs naturally as well. But we got through that. Jade went off travelling, came back, and then we really came together after that point, and our lives grew, our careers grew, and as we do in our lives, we try to be the best people, we try to take the best paths in our careers, couples growing together, going on holidays, enjoying life, being around good people, having good friends and family. It's all of that.
Yeah.
You know, and then the big step, or the next step, was finding our forever home in the country. We bought a beautiful barn conversion.
Wow.
In September 2015, and what a beautiful forever home. And we always knew after that point then it was to step to create a family, and have our first child, and that happened July 2018. But unfortunately Jade died hours after birth. Literally hours after birth.
What was the kind of was she well in pregnancy and stuff like that?
Jade,
complications and stuff?
Yeah, she had high blood pressure at the start of a pregnancy and at the end of a pregnancy. She was induced because of her high blood pressure, but she had a really healthy pregnancy. Jade was a healthy 33-year-old woman.
Yeah.
So, you know, you move through the 9 months the best we can.
It's tough. It's a tough 9 months for everybody, isn't it?
Jade had a brilliant 9 months.
Did she?
Yeah. Jade, also, if you go back to not the 9 months of pregnancy, her last 12 months on this planet, she visited 9 countries.
Wow.
And I sort of go, was that meant to be for Jade? And you know, you do look at these things like that, and 9 countries, you know, weekends away with the girls, holidays with me, family. Just phenomenal. And then, you know, you move forward into the summer of 2018, and you know, and then Hugo arrives, and hours later Jade dies. And you know, ultimately, you know, I never got to say goodbye to Jade. She was just pushed out the delivery room, and just like that, gone. Everything. My soulmate, my lover, my best friend, my wife, just gone. What does a guy do at that point? Christ almighty.
So, I mean, you got various feelings going through your head. I mean, I can't even imagine it, because I've never been through it.
Everything that we'd built together.
You've been together a long time. You're just starting
soulmate.
The next level of your future with family.
We were an incredible couple.
Yeah.
We were a powerful couple. We would have been together for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
You know, Jade lost 50 years of her life. I lost 50 years with Jade. Hugo doesn't have a mother. At that point, time stopped.
Yeah.
Nothing mattered other than one foot in front of the other, breathing, keeping my head up, and just realising at that point, you need to make Jade proud. You need to do the best you can. You need to be there for your son. And being there for my son meant that I was a 24/7 daddy from birth. 2 days later, I'm going back to our beautiful barn conversion we bought in September 2015. Jade's not there.
So what do you do when you walk through your house after that point? 2 days on, you're obviously very early in everything that's happened. You've got a baby that you're carrying in. Nothing is how it should be. You've got a responsibility. Your feelings going to be all over the shop. You're going to be sad, angry. You know, you're not going to know what's going on. It's your first kid, so there's so many emotions that come with that. Yeah. What are the first initial few days like? I mean, what are you actually even doing in those first few days?
You're not even on this planet. You're not on this planet, and I slipped into this survival mode very quickly. Right. I had to. It was sink or swim. I didn't have a choice. It was being on this planet or not, and it was as simple as that. But my son needed me, and he needed feeding every 2 hours, and I was getting 2-3 hours of sleep, 2 to 3 hours sleep a night, feeding Hugo every 2 hours with his milk, dealing with a crying baby, and everything that comes around a newborn.
Yeah, which is in itself tough for anybody.
One of the hardest thing we do is bringing a child into this world. But my life had gone. Jade wasn't here. I'm in this major shock. There's shock, numbness, adrenaline, this survival mode in your mind. And
what is that survival mode? You keep mentioning survival. What is that?
Yeah, I've got Hugo, a newborn baby. Jade has died, and I've gone back home to our family home with a newborn. As I said, nothing else mattered. Yeah. Work, money, whatever. Nothing else mattered. But when I say survival mode, you're on this planet, but you're not.
Right.
And you don't want to be here, but you are.
So you had times going through that period where you didn't want to be here.
Yeah, of course there was moments,
which is a very mixed feeling to have, given understandable feeling, obviously, but
understandable, and to be honest with you, it was inevitable. Of course, within the first few months of my loss, suicidal thoughts, not wanting to be here, and then.
Because all this, you're sleep deprived as well, significantly sleep deprived.
Yeah, I'm sleep deprived. I'm thinking, how am I going to get energy? How am I going to dig myself out of this hole? How am I going to try and think differently, or just try and find a tiny bit of light going forward in amongst this absolute tragedy and chaos, and looking after a baby 24/7 and trying to breathe? Grief is the hardest thing, alongside bringing a child into this world, that we will experience as human beings. The end. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. And my body was shattered. I felt like my nervous system had completely broken down and been shattered. My gut and feelings weren't working. A massive part of me died.
Yeah.
In July 2018. But I had to find a way to literally find this self-belief inside to go, hey Rick, you're going to make Jade proud. You are going to go and do something incredible. Believe it every single minute of the day and never ever let it go. I was very hungry and driven before July 2018. I ran sales offices, very much in management, and had a good career from what I'd built up, and certainly Jade had a fantastic career up to the point of Hugo being born. The one thing I didn't want to lose, Aaron, is my hunger and my drive, because I felt if I lost that forever,
you're losing yourself, really, aren't you?
I'm in this grief cocoon, this grief coma, which is probably a better way to say it. And that's it. I have no hope. And I'm just in this grief coma, and life's shit, and that's it. I've just got to plod. Just plod.
Because for me, listening to that, you got two clear options. You got a T-junction moment, which is you go left, you give up, you go down a very dark path for yourself, for everyone around you and stuff like that, or you go right, and you decide to make a change, or decide to do something else, or to hold on to that light at the end of the tunnel.
And when you think of that, and that's a good way of putting it, that T-junction, and you go left and right, and if I took the road to go down the dark road, effectively, I didn't turn to, I could have, I didn't turn to alcohol, I didn't turn to drugs, I didn't turn to gambling.
Was there any ever temptations for those sort of things, or not?
Not really. No, not
Some of the
really.
people that have reached out to me, we'll come to that sort of a bit later.
Yeah,
they have mentioned some of the ways that they've, not for a long period of time, but they, stuff like drink and stuff, sort of numb the pain, forget.
Yeah, I think for me, it's not the gambling or the drugs, but alcohol, you know, we all like to have a drink, don't we?
Yeah.
I'm not a heavy drinker. I don't have alcohol in my house. I've never really been like that. But I like a social, and I like a good few drinks, and I like a good time.
Yeah.
I had Hugo. If I turned to the bottle, it would have ruined my life.
Yeah.
It would have ruined my life. It would have ruined my relationship with my son. It would have ruined even more relationships out there with people around me.
Yeah.
So, but alcohol wasn't touching the sides, Aaron. It didn't touch the sides.
Right.
Because my body had been battered physically and mentally. I felt I needed to drink 2 or 3 times more alcohol to even just get a little bit of feeling tipsy.
Right.
Jade's funeral, a month after. Goodness me, I would have had at least 3/4 of the bottle, or at least a bottle of whiskey. If you add it all up, and other drinks as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't even touching the sides.
Yeah.
My body had shut down. You know, at Jade's funeral, my eyes were black. I had massive rings around my eyes. I was gone. I wasn't there.
Not human. You're just not with it. Yeah.
I wasn't there.
How was your kind of?
I just had this physical form of just grinding every single day.
Burden, grind, grief.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Deep grief.
Yeah.
Deep grief.
What's your kind of? You mentioned you sort of put one foot in front of the other. You mentioned just need to breathe.
Yeah.
All those sort of real basic stuff, but are not basic when you're under duress. What's your kind of family network like? Have you had, you know, how did that support network come together? Have you and Jay got a big family, or?
It's a massive thank you out there to everybody that came in and helped me. Certainly in the first, 12 months.
Yeah.
You know, there was Jade's family, there was my family. You know, people would come in as and when. You know, I don't know if there were other WhatsApp groups out there in terms of discussions on where's Rick, did anyone go around and see him, or I don't really know what was happening around there, but all I knew that people were coming in, you know, with consistency and supporting me, and I thank everyone doing that in that first 12 months, you know. And I did need that, and it did give me some warmth and comfort, definitely, with having people in the house every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And, you know, people leaving food, you know, that lived in the village round the corner and dropping it off at my doorstep. It's just beautiful when I do look back and go, I thank you so much. I thank you for doing that. I thank you for doing that.
Shows how you were thought of, though, I think, with surrounding people, you know, friends and family, and people that live close to you and stuff. Shows maybe what she meant to them, and what you meant to them as a couple, as friends, as family and stuff as well.
Yeah, Jade was popular.
Yeah,
she did amazing in every single angle of her life. She was loved by all. I believe she was the core, like, of her girl group.
Yeah, the glue. Yeah.
Jade sat in the middle, and so, you know, I appreciated everyone's support. I did, but I knew there would come a point where I would have to take this journey alone at some point. It's a turning point, you do, because I was wrapped up in people pleasing and really not worried, but thinking about other people's feelings, and that's normal and natural as well, because you're going through something absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just my loss, everyone else has lost as well.
Yeah. In
their own circumstances with regards to Jade's family, my family, all of her friends, you know, so, and all of my friends and my group, and, you know, so there's all these different groups of people that Jade meant the world to. But as I say, I knew I had to find the strength to stand on my own 2 feet and go, you don't want to take this journey alone, because it's still good to have people around, but you do have to take this journey. You have to start taking.
How long did it take you to kind of believe that you knew you needed to do that?
I think it was. I think it was when I ran the marathon.
Was that maybe a
That was
turning point moment? Bit of an
it was October
moment?
October 2019, when I ran the marathon. And I promised Jade I'd run a marathon. When she was alive, I said, "You're doing 9 months pregnancy.
Least I can do is do 26
Yeah.
miles."
You're going to give birth to our baby boy, and I'm going to then literally get the trainers on and train for 9 months and run a marathon.
Yeah.
For you, for me, for us. And I pictured Jade at the finishing line. She wasn't there holding Hugo, and that's the way it should have been.
Yeah.
She wasn't there. I ran the marathon on my own. But that was the turning point, really. And I remember crossing the line and pounding my chest and going,
"That's for you.
You can do anything."
Yeah.
That was for you, Jade, but you can do anything, Rick. You put your mind to something, you can do anything. Go for it. And then obviously, of course, you see the rest of 2019 out, and then lockdown hits into 2020, which was another
Tough
smack in the mouth.
When in those sort of early days, then the kind of first 6 to 12 months, you mentioned that there's quite a big support network, but then you had to kind of take it upon yourself to make that change in your own head and go it alone as such, like you said. What actual support is out? So over and above friends and family, what support is actually out there for widows?
So there's a national charity out there called Way Widowed and Young.
Okay.
So they are for widows and widowers that have lost under the age of 51, I believe.
Okay.
So I was aware of Way Widowed and Young. I think it took some time for me to be aware of them, maybe 8 or 12 months after my loss. Right. But it's definitely a platform for anybody out there to go. If you have lost your husband or wife and you're not aware of this charity, go and follow them on the socials. Go and plug in.
Yeah.
You might just meet some new people that, let me tell you straight, will get it.
Yeah.
And will understand your journey. And you could find yourself making friends for life, really. But this is obviously I'm a non-profit book author, and we'll talk about my book author journey. My latest book, Grow Through Grief, the proceeds of this book are going to Way Widowed and Young.
That charity, yeah.
That charity, yeah. So,
did you have significant help from the charity at times, or?
No. It was just I knew they were there, and they've got their own setup as a national charity. There's things you can plug into online, or turn up at events, and you're meeting like-minded individuals that have gone through something very similar that get it, and then you start to create bonds with those people, and then you start to find ways to grow within yourself. I've not done any of that, but I just came across Way, and because obviously with all my book journey, I was sort of like going, right, okay, where can I place these books? And my first autobiography that was written, my first adult book, Puppy Love, which is the story of mine and Jade's life and ends with my grief, again is with Way Widowed and Young. So that's where I sort of like knew about them and thought, well, what a beautiful thing, Rick. Give the proceeds to Way Widowed and Young.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a testament to what you've done.
Yeah,
what you're going through as well,
and it makes sense because
give back effectively.
Yes, I started to go on this journey of giving back, and I feel like I'm still on this journey of giving back. It's
evolving thing, isn't it?
It's a journey. It's changing. It's evolving. It's adapting, and as you'll probably know, you take the balls to walk through one door, and there's another one there for you, and you kind of go, wow, how has this happened? Well, it's because you didn't let fear drag you down, and you decided to walk through that door. That's why it's happened.
I think the future's you're a master of your own destiny in effect. Make tough choices, easy choices. You make choices, and then things open up.
And we just need to take that first step. And that's all we need to do, and then just get engrossed in those steps and going up that ladder, and then just see where it takes you. And I guess that is what I decided to do some time ago, and that is still where I am now, really. So
you've spoken about Hugo. What's he like?
Oh,
I've seen him all over your Instagram. Cheeky chappy.
What, the Hugo now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's 5 now. He's
Yeah.
coming up to 5.5.
It's a nice age.
And it's a tough age.
It's a tough
I
age.
tell
It's
you,
a nice age.
It's a nice age,
Yeah.
but it's a tough age. And, you know, at the moment, I am the worst dad in the world. I am, you know, everything I do is wrong. He's just so set in his ways, Hugo. He is, because he's been treated so well, and he's the only child, and because of the circumstances as well. It brings its own challenges, but he's a cheeky chappy. He loves his jokes. He likes to play practical jokes, but also as well, when you look at him, he's a beautiful combination of me and Jade.
Yeah,
beautiful. He's like Jade bottom half, and then me top half, obviously hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's coming on great now. He's got his swimming at school. He started football as well on Saturday mornings, and I'm just about to try and get him into martial arts.
Okay.
In the next sort of 2 or 3
You're
weeks.
a gooner,
well.
aren't you?
I'm an Arsenal fan. Yeah.
I'm Liverpool, so
Yeah.
competing this season.
Yeah.
For once, anyway.
I'll tell you what, we've got a great opportunity this year. We'll see.
Yeah, last couple of years you've massively strengthened.
Yeah.
I think
Liverpool.
Arteta's been good for you.
Yeah, I think Liverpool will be up there as well. I think you'll do much better than you did last season. But
it's finally got a new midfield in that can run.
Yeah.
It's got some legs. That's the difference, I think.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one.
So is he more of a footy player? Is he more of a, you know, where's his passion lie, do you think?
So he started to play football every Saturday morning in the village, and you know, it's a bit of fun for him. But he just loves his swimming.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah.
It's because that's what I pushed him into quite early on. He's loving his swimming at the minute.
Is there a reason for that?
No, there's no reason. I wanted to push him in quite early. Yeah,
Trying to get him blooded for the ice baths.
Yeah, well, sometimes he goes into the garden and puts his finger in and goes, you know. But also as well, going back to the swimming, I wanted to push him in quite early.
Yeah.
But also, we've got a world champion in the family.
Okay, swimmer.
Swimmer. Okay. James Guy. He's my cousin, so he swims for Great Britain, and I always show Hugo some stuff on the socials with James and stuff like that, and I've done that in the past as well. So I don't know if that's had a knock-on effect with him wanting to get into
emulate
swimming
maybe a bit.
He loves it. He loves his swimming. He does. But the thing is, with kids at that age, you've got to push them in.
Yeah.
You've got to, you know, be a bit sort of proactive, and most kids are like, I can't be bothered, just give me my iPad, or just put YouTube on, and that's the world we're in.
They'd sit in front of the iPad all day if you let them.
Oh God, yeah. So we need to keep busy. I need diversification. I need his discipline to get better as well, and I think discipline comes with doing these sorts of things as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, you can get a lot of stuff from football, so a lot of stuff from sport in general, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of just the general learning, however old you are,
Yeah,
the basic disciplines, the principles of grafting for your team, teamwork, working hard, you know, learning things, trying to practice a skill over a period of time. Like you can take sport into business, sport into growing up. It's got so many.
Yeah.
It crosses over, doesn't it?
It creates this layer of this foundation. To then step forward depending on whatever you want to do. So, you know, I was a really sporty kid as well. You know, I loved my football and karate and stuff like that. So, you know, you try and push them in, don't you? You get them cracking. But Hugo's doing awesome. He's a typical 5-year-old boy, you know, that knows what he wants. But yeah, the combination is an interesting one with me and him, you know, especially being 24/7 dad and just me. So
yeah, how does that, do you think, impact your relationship with him? Because you know, is there other moments where you feel, you know, even closer than maybe what we would have been previously? Other moments where, you know, obviously a parent, there's moments where you want to cuddle your kids so tight, and moments where you want to throw them out of a window. You know, it's completely that's what it is, isn't it? I mean, how do you feel like that single parent situation has affected your relationship with Hugo?
It's interesting you say those two elements, because with what's happened to me and us, I feel like I have a different, you know, set of lenses and pair of ears now. You know, I've changed as a person.
Yeah.
Not negatively, but I've changed. I've evolved. I've had to, and I feel I really appreciate the small things, the really tiny things that most people will surpass or won't even take an eye to.
What stuff?
You know, just Hugo walks in to school and gets in the line, and I'm still probably stood there staring at him, like, you know, and
you're in the moment, aren't
and
you?
the normal parent is
drop off, go to work,
is
back in the car,
out the gates already, and I'm staring at him and looking at him, going, "I'm so proud of you, son.
Yeah,
you know, you're 5. Look at you. I've come so far. You've come so far. Your mum would be so proud."
You have moments where it's powerful.
And it's those tiny moments we might be walking together down the country lanes, because, you know, we live in the country, and he's on his scooter or his bike, and, you know, of course there's moments where I still break and have teary moments and really feel everything Jade is missing.
Yeah. Is that where you feel it the most? Where you feel like maybe something happens, whether it's big or small, and you think, you should be here for this? Do you know what I mean? It's be part of this.
Yeah, it was like this week. I was in the car, and I was doing a bit of business here, there, and everywhere. I was all over the place, and I was driving in my car, and I was coming home, and I was just thinking about all the things that I'm doing and all the growth decisions that I'm making for mine and Hugo's life. And Jade's not here, and I just burst into tears in the car. And that was it. I was gone for. It's just so overwhelming. And you just fall straight into this cry crunch, and you know you're there for 60 seconds, and you come back, and then, you know, I've got a bit of music on, and get out of the car and take a deep breath and walk back in the house and go, let's go with it, carry on.
Yeah.
So
that must be difficult.
It's very hard. It's very hard. But also as well, when you were mentioning there about those, you know, the dimensions with Hugo, when I'm like cognitive overload, you know, when he's gone off to his grandparents or he's going off wherever, and I've got some free time like I've got this weekend, I'm not a dad anymore. I'm not a dad. I'm Rick. And it used to crush me, Aaron. When I used to take him off to his grandparents or whatever, and I used to, and if he's not with me,
guilt that you're not with him all the time, or putting on other people, or you're doing things for yourself? It's
because within definitely the first 12 months, I felt like I didn't have a bond with Hugo. That's nothing to do with him as a baby, a human being.
Just a lot on.
It's because of what happened to me. It's because of my loss, my trauma, and the tragedy, and what I was amongst. I didn't have a bond. It felt so empty, but I was still doing what I needed to do to feed him, to clothe him, to take care of him, you know, and just wanting, I can't wait till he gets a little bit older and we can do these things together. You know, so he'd go off to his grandparents, I'd go back home. It'd take me like 6 hours. You know, I'm in tears, I'm a mess, and I'm in the house, and it took me about 6 hours to just come round and go, right, now you can get on with your time, Rick, without Hugo. But now it's totally different. Time's gone on. He goes off, and I'm in the car, and I'm like, "You're not daddy anymore.
This is your time. He's probably going to enjoy his time with his grandparents. And everyone's happy, aren't they? Grandparents will love having him.
That's it. And I'm just like going, you know, I'm Rick now, and I'm gonna have a good time. And you know, I do feel like I'm a different person when I'm not with Hugo. But that's normal and natural.
Yeah,
it is. But that's me stepping more into Rick. That's me.
I suppose you lost Rick for a period of time, I bet.
Well, I lost myself a couple of times, and I had to find myself again. But, you know, I go all the way back to, you know, when we think about life in general, think about the way we were as when we were 16, 17, 18, you know, school, sixth form, university, and the drive, the hunger, the confidence. We didn't care what people thought, really. And then life then moves along. We make decisions. We take on financial burden. We meet a partner, you know, we have responsibility, and
quite quickly as well.
Quite quickly, and then everything evolves and changes, and then you look back and you go, and I do this, and I go, I want to be more like Rick Hart when I was 18 to 20.
Rick at 18,
So I'm kind of like on this journey now, going, I will do it, Aaron. I'll be back to where Rick Hart was when I was 18 to 20.
But you need that, I think, for your own self. You know, you recharge your batteries for your own self-preservation in your own mind to have that time. I think I look back, I took Faith on, she'll be 18 next month, but I took her on when she was 18 months old when I met my ex-wife. And I think I was 19, just under 19, I think. So it was quite a big commitment at the top, but I knew it was right, just knew it was right. yeah, you know, she doesn't see her dad anymore, a biological dad or whatever, and I'm dad or whatever. But it's the best thing I've ever done. But looking back, what I lost was probably 2 to 3 years of me. You know, the lads would go on their Beanos, and I'd choose. I could have gone, but I choose to stay home.
Yeah.
And I don't regret those decisions. And I had moments they wouldn't have had maybe until the 24, 25.
Yeah.
Because that closeness with a kid and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I did that quite early.
Yeah.
And that was the route I wanted to go down. But there are occasions when I look back and I think, would have been good to have to maybe get more of a balance at that time, not feel like I had to be parent 24/7, and maybe have some more time for myself, because that time's gone now.
Yeah.
And I've got 3 kids now. You know, so the more you populate and the older you, sometimes, you know, with different things that are going on in your life, you have less time, or you're just making different choices, and maybe you should make a choice for yourself every now and again. So you still have the same 24 hours, but you choose to put it into that rather than that. I think that's kind of where I'm at, which is sometimes I'm better at it now, but I've struggled over the last few years. And we were talking about, you said before we come on, why did you start the podcast? You know, choices, struggling to make the right choices. Feeling, you know, when Delilah was born 9 months ago, there was a traumatic start to the world. She came out not breathing. We've only just had our debrief on that, and that was interesting. Because I thought I was walking out of the hospital with nobody, because Stoph was white as a sheet, blood everywhere. It was horrible. And Delilah was not breathing for a long time, had to go in intensive care for a few days. God. You know, there was a 5-minute period where nobody was doing anything, and I thought, I'm walking out of here with nobody. Nobody. And that was, you know, I'm tearing up now actually. That was horrible. But you make choices, and I make choices over the last few months, rather than going into the gym in the morning at 6 o'clock like I always used to. Delilah's going to be awake. And I make a choice to do that feed because I want that time. And I can go to the gym, you know, if I'm not doing it, it's only because of my choices. I'm not moaning about it. I'm not. It's because I'm choosing to do that. And I never did that with Freddie and Faith. I think I was working too much. It was the whole thing of, you know, I'm a provider, I've got to work, I get, you know, go out at 7, get back at 7, all that stuff. And it's like, I kind of missed a bit of that upbringing bit. I don't want to make that mistake again. So yes, I'll get pissed off when I look in the mirror sometimes and think, I wish I'd done a bit more. But then I'm like, well, I'm having a lot of time here. So it's just kind of that constant evolving balancing act of what's important. Do you know what I mean?
And that's it. It's like you said,
it's a tough one.
With time's massive. We have 24 hours in a day. What we all doing in 24 hours? You know, do you need to sleep 8 hours? Do you really need to sleep 8 hours? I can get 6 solid hours and probably still have a more productive day. And then I've gained myself effectively, you know, 14 hours in that week extra to doing different things.
Do what you want to do,
It's like you mentioned about the gym. You know, if you really want it, you know, train in the evening, if you're busy with work or whatever, get up at 5 a.m. Welcome to the 5 a.m. club. Get up, train, do what you need to do. Everyone, I believe, can make slight tweaks in their 24 hours to then move into the following day. And it's those small, tiny steps. And this is what I try to do now. Literally go small steps, Rick, and just keep putting one positive on top of the other, even if it feels like 0.5% or even 0.25%.
It's a compound.
And and you just compound and you grow and grow. I live in the country, as I've mentioned, and I love it. It's peaceful. You know, I've built the spa in the garden, I've got the gym, and if I want to plug into the cities and socialise, I can. But I think preserving me and my energy is very important, Aaron. It's very important.
What I've got from your social media, listening to your podcast, and obviously doing some digging before today over the last few weeks, is you put a lot of effort into yourself, which I think is great because, you know, for a variety of different reasons, for your own self and also for you to be a better person for everybody around you. But I think you sometimes, when times are stressful, whether it's loss, whether it's pressures, whether it's financial issues, whether it's relationships, the one thing that always drops off is the focus on yourself most of the time for most people. And I think that's the area that you need to really look after, because you're not a very good person for anybody else, your kids, your family, if you're not looking after yourself, and you're not good yourself, which inevitably how you feel is very, very important for yourself. You know,
I always say there's this very simple funnel, and I've said this for a long time, Aaron. I need to be the best version of me under the circumstances, and if I'm not the best version of me, well, I need to make changes. And it's a funnel, and the funnel is Hugo. And that is it, because I'm then feeding into him. And if I'm a really shit version of me, guess what? He's going to be getting that, and he's going to be feeling that. And
do you put yourself? Is that accountability for you? Is that
that's my
is that your line? That's your standard.
Line. That is it. The simple funnel. If you are a shit human being, or you are eroding or dissolving in a negative form, that is going to then hit my son negatively.
Yeah.
So I've literally, and people watch the socials and look at what I'm doing, but I'll tell you something, it's not easy. It's not easy. The things I do, what I try to keep on top of, for my physical and mental state, especially my mental state, I have to work hard to keep on top of that, to be this version of Rick. And of course there's times where I think, I just can't be arsed. I cannot be arsed. I cannot be arsed to sit in the ice bath. I can't be arsed to get into the gym. I can't be arsed to take Hugo to school every morning. 24/7 daddy. I was looking at this the other day thinking, I look after Hugo and do everything. The maintaining the house, the cleaning, the washing, the tidying up, the cleaning up after Hugo, his schooling, his clothes, his bedroom.
Before you even yourself, yeah.
Yeah. Taking him to school, picking him up, keeping on top of everything with school. The list goes on and on.
I don't know how you do it, to be honest.
The list goes on and on and on. And then in amongst all of that, I go, right, okay, you're a book author. Yes, the writing's finished with your grief journey. You've got your podcast out at the moment. You're doing some really powerful stuff. You've got your property business, which is growing and making some really good decisions in terms of some real growth. And I'm juggling like 3 or 4 different things, if not 5 different things at the same time, alongside being a full-time dad, but also wearing all these different hats.
Do you feel you need
mummy,
that? Do you feel you need to keep busy? Is that where you're at your best? Is that why you're doing it?
Do you know what? It's been interesting in the last 12 months. It's been a journey, this, and it was like that at the start because it was like a distraction. But now I can sit in I can take Hugo to school, I can go home, and I can walk into my house, put the kettle on, and just sit down in complete silence.
If you want to. Yeah. And you're comfortable to do that?
And I'm so comfortable. I have spent more time.
You're not sitting there thinking, "What's the next podcast episode going to be? What am I doing?
What else am I going to?" Do you know what though? I always have ideas. I'm an ideas man. I'm very creative.
I get that.
There's always something going on about what can be done, but at the same time, it's still okay to just be. I have spent more time than most in my own thoughts, thinking, sometimes overthinking, worrying, thinking about what people think. What am I doing? What should I be doing? Am I doing things correctly? Would Jade be proud? Is Hugo the best version of himself? What else do you need to do now, Rick? What work needs to be done? Right, okay, when are you going to do this and do that? My mind does continuously go, but there is times where I go, I'm having 3 or 4 hours and I'm doing nothing. And
that shows growth though in your
and I'm sat just within myself. And I'm at this point now, 5 years on through the journey that I've taken and the decisions that I've made, and I'm like, I've got content, I've got peace within.
Yeah.
And it's taken a long time to do that.
So take me through your journey as an author.
Yeah, so
there's 2 bits to this, aren't there? There's you've got your Hugo and Daddy stuff, and you've got your own stuff.
So I ran, hundreds and hundreds of miles. Pretty much 2-3 months after Jade died, I went on this running journey and doing these runs in memory of Jade, the beautiful Jade t-shirt on and stuff like that. Through running and visualising, manifesting, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? I'm going to do something totally different, and I'm going to come back from this like no other. And that's what was going through my mind. I felt I was communicating with the universe. It's so hard to explain this. I believe in manifestation 100%. My body was tingling. I'm in tears, and my body is tingling while I'm running. I feel like I was communicating with the earth, but I had all these ideas going through my mind. And I thought that the writing and the book journey and shouting about mine and Jade's life would have probably happened years on. when Hugo started school, like now, year 1.
Yeah.
But it started in lockdown. I decided to take action then. I didn't have my outlet anymore. I couldn't run.
Yeah.
I'm in deep grief again with
So
Hugo.
was that effectively the reason to have another outlet?
Yeah, so March 2020 hits, we're all hit with lockdown.
Yeah.
In everyone's own personal circumstances. I've got a 2.5-year-old baby, slipping back into deep grief, not in a good place. What are you going to do with it? Right, let's put all these ideas into action. I started to write 1,500 words before Hugo woke up, 24 hours.
Okay, yeah.
Hugo's still asleep, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I've got my dressing gown, pitch black.
Brews on.
Yeah, brews on, coffee's on.
3 coffees before 7.
Yeah, sometimes even 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I've got my dressing gown on and I've got the laptop open.
The thing is with that,
I'm typing.
Stuff comes to you just... You can't control when stuff comes to you.
No.
It doesn't have to be negative.
No.
Positive ideas, excitement.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of times I've sat there at 2, 3 in the morning, like I said before we come on, just, I can do that. I'm going to write that down because I can't, gone through the days of, I'll remember that when I wake up, but then you don't get to sleep because you're overthinking that you might not forget it.
Yeah.
And you got these 3, 4 things come to your mind and you write them down and you get stuck into it the next day. And it's just, you're not in control of when these things happen, are you?
But one thing leads on to another.
Yeah. Quick word from one of our sponsors, Guru Technology. Simply put, they're the highest Google-rated company in their industry. A very different service and a very different set of products covering business-to-business mobiles, phone systems, energy, renewables and EV, security, CCTV, alarms, AMPR, broadband and IT. They specialise in dealing with companies who are receiving really poor service and spending a lot of money currently with their supplier. They will come to site, do a free of charge audit and fix any problems that you're having. So if you've got problems with your current supply chain, search Guru Technology in Google and give them a buzz. Thank you. Let's get back to the podcast.
So what you are doing now will then lead on to something else. When you look back and go, I know why I did that now. That needed to happen. So I'm sat there writing 1,500 words a day pretty much at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning before Hugo's woke up of mine and Jade's life. And I'm sort of going, this is the life of me and Jade. This is like an autobiography. And then,
so at that point, there wasn't actually a plan to write a book.
At the very start,
you were just downloading.
It was just like I was journaling.
Okay.
Just basically laptop open. You've got a Word document.
That's your outlet.
And I'm just going. And I'm starting to type about when I first met Jade when she was 17. I was 18, and we were in the nightclub in Wakefield.
All right.
And I'm going on, and then you're moving on, and then and I was storytelling.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is it. Anyway, that then gets pulled together. So I go, I need a publisher. I need to start project managing this. I need to start bringing it together. Short story, Puppy Love, my autobiography, is available on Amazon now. But I wrote all that, very much designed, pretty much all of it, and then got it through to publication, and it's on every single online bookstore.
How do you go about doing something like that?
It's the publisher, so it's whatever
you approach them, and if they buy into
it's whatever approach you want to take, really. So I felt like time was very important, and I didn't want to take too much on. So I've gone and effectively got an agent, which is my publisher, Grosvenor House Publishing in London, and they do everything for you. So to copywriting, to editing if you want it. To grammar, to bringing it all together, and then ultimately, this book is created and they push it all on all the major platforms out there. Yes, it's your job to push and do whatever you want to do from a marketing perspective, but Puppy Love was then written, and that was published on Valentine's Day on 2021. Okay. But my first book was actually the first children's book that was published. The other arm, as you've mentioned, there's 2 bits. I also had writing this children's book for Hugo anyway. So there's me at the table sketching all these ideas out, going, right, me and Hugo on a rocket, this, that, the other. And it took me 2 hours. Honestly, right, I'm rubbish at poetry, spelling, grammar. It's not my strength. 12 months ago, I went and got tested for adult dyslexia and I have quite a high form of it.
Yeah.
So it's not my strength. But it's creativity. I'm creating this beautiful book for Hugo, and it's also a goodbye to Jade as well.
Yeah.
And it's Hugo and Daddy's Nighttime Adventures. That got to the 2nd bestseller on Amazon.
Wow.
At the end of 2020. That was published October 2020. and got a little bit of media attention. It did. So, and then the journey continues, and I kept on having all these other ideas. And then you move into 2021. Puppy Love gets published February 2021. Then 2 more children's books get published: Hugo and Daddy's Thailand Adventures, Hugo and Daddy's Superpower Adventures. Thailand Adventures, me and Jade got married in 2015 in Thailand. The Thailand book is me taking the steps that me and Jade took, but I'm taking Hugo.
Okay.
We'll do that one day.
So that's yeah. That's
really
lovely, isn't it?
Beautiful adventure, fun book. It's the bereavement books, but also as well, they are fun books as well. They're not just, if you've lost someone, buy this. It's good for any kid. Yeah.
Any kid that opens up Thailand Adventures, they'll be like, wow, this is awesome. Really simple, basic poetry. But yeah, and then Super Adventures came. Idea, right? Okay, this H symbol was coming in my mind. This sign for hope. Yeah.
Hugo Hart.
Yeah.
What is this? It's Hugo as a superhero called Hart's Hero. Hugo Hart, HH, Hart's Hero, HH. Symbol for hope.
Yeah.
Wow, Rick, you are creative. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
2 hours later at the dining room table, I've got Hugo and Daddy's Super Adventures. Move it through publication, get it published, it's out there.
Yeah.
With that as well, I created a website called www.heartshero.co.uk. People can buy H symbol merchandise for adults, for kids.
Yeah.
Symbol for hope. This H symbol is on the merchandise, the clothing. And there's a bit more around the creation of the Superhero Adventures as well. And and then I did a Christmas book for Hugo as well. And then I did a school book for him as well, which was published last September, which was my final children's book. The school book's awesome. It's basically this, as we discussed earlier in the podcast today. I'm taking him to school. I'm taking him to school, and I'm picking him up. Something so simple, turned it into a book. It's fun. It's adventure. It's turning all those, as I say, those small little things into beautiful elements of dropping him off at school, picking him up, my arms are open, and all that sort of stuff. And Jade features across all of the books as well.
Yeah.
So they're the children's books, but I'm a non-profit book author. I didn't want to take a penny. This ongoing project has costed me tens and tens of thousands of pounds, but I've done it because I wanted to do it, because I wanted to give back.
I feel like that's part of your healing process.
Very
part
much
of your
so.
evolution.
Because also as well, think about all the people that I've commissioned to come in to work with me. Websites, merchandise, publishers, illustrators. My illustrator, Jackie T. Unreal. Me and Jackie went on a phenomenal journey with this Hugo and Daddy's saga of books. These individuals are getting commissioned. They don't work for free.
Yeah.
I'm giving back, but also creating these beautiful books that are here forever. Creating something everlasting, legacy building.
What does Hugo think of the books?
Hugo grabs them from time to time. He's got images in his bedroom. He has moments, Hugo. So, but
I suppose you get the years to come where he'll really understand those books. And
the thing for me is, it's when Hugo's like 7 or 8, and Hugo at 7 or 8, I know, will come into his own element and go, "Wow, Dad, you are a book author, and you did all this, and that's going to come." Yeah. But also as well, I do believe, I can see it already, Aaron. Hugo will be a children's book author before the age of 10.
Yeah.
He'll have his own book out. He would have designed it and created it himself, and he would want stuff in there that's important to him.
Yeah.
And it will be linked to bereavement, but it also will be a very powerful children's book. And I'll back him all the way. So I can see that already. When I visualize and believe something, I can see it already. It's going to be here. I really do believe.
You've got all the nuts and bolts that that you've already been through the tough parts of that anyway. You know where to go with it. You know what to do, and it's I suppose it's a matter of timing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just a case of him going, yeah, Daddy, let's go for this. Unless he goes, I do not want this for whatever reason, then we really hold back for whatever reasons, and that's okay. That's still okay. I just want Hugo. I want Hugo just to be happy.
Yeah.
I just want him to be happy. Do you know what, Aaron? There's one human being that's had no real emotional hit with all of this, really, and it's Hugo.
That hit's to come.
And I do,
Potentially, isn't it?
and I do protect that in some way. I do, naturally, of course. I'm his sole guardian. But he will have his moments as he grows up. I don't have a mum.
Yeah.
How does that make me feel? Everyone else has got their...
When did he find out that was the case? Because that's another question that we've been asked.
I think it came on strong for him when he started reception. Because he's starting reception, he's in a school environment. There's Daddy doing all these books, and school adventures. I gave the profits to Misterton Primary, the school.
Yeah.
So, there's lots of parents out there that were probably buying Hugo and Daddy's school adventures, and then talking to their own kids around. Oh, Hugo, Hugo lost his mum at birth, and some of the kids also were talking to Hugo about, you don't have a mummy anymore, do you? Your mummy's dead. The kids.
Yeah.
That's inevitable. That was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's when it probably, for me, really hit home for him as a 4 or 5 year old boy going, my mum isn't here. But before that, the message always was, mummy's in heaven. Mummy is in the sky. She's sitting on the moon. And these are the sort of things that I've created in terms of illustrations in the books as well.
Yeah.
So, and it's, and when you think about it now, he knows his mum is in heaven. He knows she's died. He knows she died after birth. He's starting to ask me more questions.
Yeah.
And they're quite tough. They're quite tough questions.
What sort of questions is he asking?
He can be asking questions anything from, so does every mummy die when they get straight after birth? No, Hugo. What happened to my mummy? And he asked me the other day, how did mummy feel when she gave birth to me? And this is a journey. This is just, he is going to ask more and more questions, and he'll get the answers off his dad. Definitely. But I know what to deliver to him at the right time.
Yeah.
So
because more questions are coming the older, as he evolves his own understanding of his own self and his own little personality and stuff.
And he will know exactly what happened to Jade and all the circumstances around why Jade died. But I am not going to be bombarding him with that at a young age.
Until he's ready, yeah.
Not at all. And, that's just not going to happen. Because, I know what's right for him at what given point. And the one thing that I don't want Hugo feeling is sheer heaviness from the loss of from the loss of his mum. Even though he doesn't have the emotional attachment because she gave birth to him, he will go on his own journey.
Yeah. At some point that he'll be burdened with that. At some point when he really, really understands emotionally.
He will, yeah.
But at 5, I mean, there's not many 5-year-olds that will really understand what that means and what that. We were
in the garden the other night, and we were in the hot tub playing, and it was a clear night. And sometimes we get in the hot tub on evenings, not all the time. But anyway, we got in the hot tub this evening, and he's looking up and he's going, "There's Mummy," and it's the brightest star in the sky, and right now that's beautiful.
What a nice moment. Yeah.
Or the moon appears. Mummy's probably somewhere on the moon, and that's where he needs to be now.
Well, he's 5, of course it is. Yeah.
And when he's 10, there'll be different questions, and that will keep evolving and keep evolving and keep evolving.
Yeah.
But also, as well, at the same time, I want him to see the journey his dad went on and see the decisions that I made for him to find pure inspiration and hope and good feel through this whole process.
Yeah.
Because I know the things that I've done in my life in these last 5 years, and there's things that I'll do going forward in my life that he will watch, listen to, read, and he might be 30, 35, 40, and he'll find inspiration in something to push him on.
Yeah.
And I guess that's also why I've done everything that I've done.
It's like the picture you see with a dad lion and the little one's always watching on. It captioned, there's always someone watching.
Yeah.
Always found, sometimes you look at animal memes, don't you, and they're a bit, you're looking a bit tacky or whatever, but that's quite a good meaning for that as a parent, I think. It's always somebody watching. Yeah. And that somebody that's always watching is your kids.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Good and bad examples. That's the way it is.
Yeah, it is, and I just want the best for my son, and I just want us to have the best life going forward, really. And and as I say, I go back to that point. It takes a lot of hard graft for me to do what I do, to be sat here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do this 2 years ago.
But you are here, and that's.
But I am here.
Do you know what I mean? That's the important thing.
But also, I did have a vision of Real with Rick. In my creativity mind, there's no ceiling. So I go, are you on a show? Is it your show?
Do you know the way it looks for me? So Real Rick's your podcast that you've started to do. Yeah. The way it looks in terms of the Real Rick logo does look a bit like a show with the microphone.
Yeah, yeah.
It does look like a. So what did you feel that was going to be?
It was different elements of going, are you being interviewed? Are you interviewing someone else? You're talking out, you're doing something, this Real with Rick thing. I was even going to buy a big,
neon
Real with
thing.
Rick, neon light, and get Real with Rick and all. Yeah. This was in 2021.
Yeah.
And then I parked it for a bit because I was still moving through, my book journey and where my life was, at that point, and what I was doing and the decisions that I was making. But yeah, and here we are, two years later. Grow Through Grief comes out, and I went on TV recently, got talking to one of the TV presenters there, and he's like, we got chatting. And he was like, have you ever thought about doing a podcast to support your book? And I was like, yeah, I have actually. Right, literally 24 hours later, we're done. I had a voice over. Recorded a voice artist. I had the podcast being created. I had the web developer. I had the logo. Everything around me, everyone, and going, right, everyone, let's go. Made it happen in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
all of it.
Shows what you can do though if you really focus your energy.
The website created, the podcast created, the design, the logo, the imagery, the platforms. 2-3 weeks literally, and then we're recording. And the first episode was on Real with Rick, 14th. I think it was 14th of July, episode 1.
Yeah.
So but it was to support the book. It was to support Grow Through Grief. But it was basically sharing my journey from the point of losing Jade. Episode 1 is the 9 months of Jade's pregnancy, but also the birth of Hugo, the loss of Jade, and stepping forward really through that dimension of deep grief, and then moving forward, and my running and my book journeys, and and it went on and on and on.
So I feel like your podcast now, in terms of where it is a lot more than just support, being supportive of the book. Some of the things that you cover in terms of the whole self-love piece, topics that you cover, which arguably could be seen as controversial to a degree. Things about finding love again, things about dating. Which shows an element of progression and elements of moving on, which people can, depends if you've been through it or not, and people have different opinions on those sort of things. So I quite like the fact that it's covering real life situations that happen if you've been through something like this, or going through something like this, which I really like.
Yeah, and that's the thing I tried to do, Aaron. I tried to keep it real. I had to be really vulnerable, really raw, and really honest through this process, because lots of us hold on to so much, but I thought it's inevitable you're going to share your journey, Rick. It's inevitable. And the podcast was inevitable, so, and I'm sharing a lot in there as well. Jade's death shouldn't have happened. Jade's death was negligence on so many levels, which left me in a situation where that had to get settled financially, and I've got to make decisions on that and move that forward. And build a life for me and Hugo, but also as well, I talk about this on my podcast, and building generational wealth.
Yeah.
And I've done that, and I'm doing that at the moment through my property business. And you know what? Of course, at the moment, I'm very much focused on some business goals at the minute, and what that looks like, and what I want to step into, and what I want to do in the next sort of like year or two. But I do have goals within the property business as well. Ultimately, I want that property business to be a multi-million-pound asset. I do. Why not? I want to make good decisions in amongst what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Which then ultimately pushes me onto a goal of building, £1 million equity in the property business and a 6-figure gross turnover, and leaving that and allowing it to grow. Again, a very heavy, hard dimension through the process of my loss.
What's the motivation for that?
The motivation for that, honestly, is Hugo's life. Hugo's life, his family life, his children, and his grandchildren.
Yeah.
And that has been in my mind. That has been at the forefront. Of course, I want to make the most of my life as well. And of course, I want to try and build the best life possible for me. I deserve that. Jade would have wanted that.
Yeah.
I could go out there and just spend it all. I say this in my podcast. We're doing 3 things. We're saving, spending, or investing. I've been doing a lot of investing recently. I did a lot. I tell you, at the start from the loss of Jade, probably the first 9 months, I was doing a lot of spending. But I had a plan, and I wanted to move into investing and grow. And, this property business is going to do that. It's going to give that generational wealth. It's going to change my core family.
Yeah.
It's going to change Hugo and his family's life for a long time. That's powerful stuff. That's really powerful stuff. So that was the core of why I've been doing what I've been doing, and why I've been building what I've been wanting to build, really.
So who do you think the podcast is for? So if you're going out there saying, okay, give Real with Rick a go, give it some time, listen to a couple of episodes, see what you think. Who's it really pitched at? Who are you trying to help?
Real with Rick course is targeted at loss. It is. I think anybody that's experienced loss should tune in, but also very much so if you are a widow or you're a widower. I really feel you need to listen and tune into Real with Rick. The messages I've had, Aaron, from widows and widowers, more so females, because we talked about this, don't we?
Yeah.
Women talk more than men.
Yeah.
90% of who's reached out to me have been women.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, inspiring. What you've done is just it's just incredible. But also as well, it resonates so much with me. You talk about this here, there, and I went through this, I felt that, and like you said, talking about the episode 7, Finding Love Again, and other parts of my loss. It's real. People will be able to relate to it. Do you know what? There's nothing worse than sitting in your grief coma and just staying there.
Yeah.
I had to break free from it. Everyone who experiences loss has a story. You can turn it into your superpower. You can share it, and sharing not only helps you but helps others. It's not going, I've got the formula to deep grief and loss, and check me out because I can take you from A to B and go, you're free from it all. It's going to be with you for the rest of your life. But stories help, stories inspire, stories allow people to just think differently.
Yeah.
And if we can start to think differently and take that first step, well, at least we're on the right road.
Yeah.
That T-junction.
T-junction, it all comes back to.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
That's it. And I've been doing this for the last few years now. My 7 books, my websites. I've got a beautiful website for Jade as well, jadeheartpuppylove.co.uk. In memory of Jade, I've got Hugo's superhero website, heartzero.co.uk. I've got the podcast. I just took the first step, March, April 2020 at my dining room table.
It's amazing when you talk to people that have done different things, and it all comes from that first step.
Yeah.
That's where it all comes from. And
It's
nobody
an
really knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Nobody really has experience. Nobody
Yeah.
really understands potential, the potential of what it could be. It just happens from that step and those choices.
It's ideas, and yes, I've pressed the button on lots of projects, and I can do that. I'm in a position where I can do that. But if anybody wanted to bring out an autobiography or write an adult book or bring out a children's book, they could. This thing costs probably £1,000 to £1,500 to get off the ground.
I think it's the reason why somebody wouldn't do that is the fear of, number one, the fear of people thinking it's crap, waste of time, and the inability to go and find out how to do it.
Yeah.
The how and the fear.
Yeah.
They're the detractors from doing anything, I think, in life.
But that's the normal trigger in the human brain.
It's humans, yeah.
Oh, fear. Oh,
naturally negative.
We can't do that. It's naturally negative, isn't it? Do you know, it really is.
We're negative beasts.
Yeah, we are. We're negative beasts, and we have to go. No. We're here to do amazing things on this planet. We're here to inspire, help, grow, in whatever shape or form, and that's all that was ringing through my head when I was running hundreds of miles. Go and do something different.
Yeah.
Go and pull yourself out of the gutter, Rick, and turn all of this on its head.
Yeah.
To allow you to take steps to self-healing and acceptance, and put yourself in a better position. Not meaning my life's better now without Jade.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely not. I'd go right back to the 7th, 8th of July. But I have choices.
But this is the hand you've been dealt.
This is the hand that I've been dealt with. And I have choices. And my choice is to find ways to keep growing and just create positive compound on my physical and mental state and my creativity.
Yeah.
And I've got to keep doing that. I've got to. It's hard work. It's really hard work.
I think that from getting a feeling from what you said today, that's the backbone of what you're about, I think.
Yeah.
We've got some questions.
Okay.
So I went out on social media a couple of times in the last couple of weeks and said that you were coming on. Got a bit of a few videos up to talk about, just sort of briefly, why you were coming on and a bit about you and stuff like that, and shared a couple of your posts on our media. Got a couple of questions that have come back from that, because I sort of went out and asked, look, get in touch, send us a DM with some questions, and we can pose those to Rick and whoever it is, doesn't matter, So got a question here. This is from Facebook, actually, from a chap called Gareth. I actually used to go to school with Gareth back in the day. He says, you speak really well in the podcast and you speak really well in your videos with confidence and purpose. Have you actually had time to grieve?
100% yes. So being a 24/7 daddy has given me more time than most, because most people probably have to go back to work or go back into the cog of society and life and that normality.
Yeah.
Everything stopped for me, and I was a 24/7 dad. So I've spent more time in my own thoughts than most.
Yeah.
But you know what? I had to feel it all. Of course, there's times naturally throughout my deep grief process where I was trying to fight it. I was trying to beat it. At times I thought I'd beaten it. Because you do.
Yeah.
Most people go through it. But there came a point, and it was after writing Puppy Love and publishing Puppy Love, I thought, I've done it. And it was about probably a 5 to 6 month process after that where I was like, no, Rick, this is with you forever. You have to just take this with you in the best possible way and just keep wrapping as much good stuff you can around your grief. So to answer his question, I have grieved deeply, 100%, which has led me to where I am today.
Yeah, the building blocks. So I've got a question from Debbie off of LinkedIn. So difficult one to ask, but hopefully I get it right, because she sent me a big paragraph, and I want to make sure I do it justice, because she's in the same situation as yourself.
Okay. Okay.
So, without going into exactly how Jade passed, is there any resentment towards your son? I.e., the thought of it could have been him rather than her. This is the feeling I had sometimes, and I felt really guilty about for some time.
I've never held resentment or anger towards Hugo, personally. Of course, I was faced with the challenge of not having this bond with Hugo for at least the first 12 months. Because of my own emotions, I'm a human being. I've been shot with the worst situation, trauma, tragedy, loss, shock. I'm moving through all of these different feelings of anger, but my anger was elsewhere, and it never went into Hugo or was pointed at Hugo, thinking, you know, if we didn't have a kid, Jade would still be here. The reality is we made a decision to have a family, and Jade fell pregnant, and Jade was a fit 33-year-old woman, and we went into Bassett Law Hospital with every faith, and you wouldn't think anything different. She's going in, she's giving birth to the baby.
The last thing on your mind, really.
2 days later, we get ourselves out of the hospital, we walk out together, and we go home together. So Jade's death shouldn't have happened, and the responsibility of that sits on the shoulders of the hospital, and the individuals that were around Jade and the decisions they made, which was catastrophe. So I don't feel any resentment or anger towards Hugo. It's nothing to do with Hugo really for me.
Yeah. Would you have anything to say to Debbie if she goes through times where she feels like that? It's a tough one, isn't it?
It's a tough one because I've
scenario
not,
dependent as well.
I've not felt it. But
yeah.
The one thing I'd probably say is just be kind to yourself, and it's okay if you are feeling what you're feeling. The feelings aren't going to stay there forever. Those feelings will change, and it's normal and natural in deep grief to feel some real crazy stuff. Trust me, especially from an anger perspective. But you'll not be there forever. You won't.
Luke said something on this podcast a couple of months ago. Ice bath, Luke.
Oh yeah.
He said feelings are temporary.
They are.
That's it. Good and bad. Feelings are temporary.
Yeah. They are.
Which is quite interesting when you think about scenarios and positives and negatives. Yeah. It is. It's right.
Yeah. And when I talk about the word anger, you know, my anger has evolved throughout the years, and you know, I look at everyone around Jade and they didn't mean to make the decisions they made.
Yeah.
They just made bad decisions, one on top of the other, from various different angles. What happened just happened. And I guess when you lose control, then you're under more pressure and you're more than likely not going to make the right decision.
Yeah. I think a decision made under stress and duress and stuff is never the right decision, is it?
That's what was happening in around Jade. So I've gone on this journey of anger, but I found a way to let go of a lot of that.
Yeah, good.
Because, you know, peace and good energy for me are massive. I need to be around good, genuine human beings. It's really important for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel the energy.
You take bits from people, don't you?
Yeah,
good and bad. Yeah.
But you know, we've all been there when we're in the presence of some bad energy.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I really do feel it.
You feel it more than most, you think?
Yeah. And I feel it more than most when I'm in good energy.
Yeah.
Because I elevate even more.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it's just with what I've been through.
What you've been through, I think the highs are very high and the lows are low.
Yeah.
More than most because of the, you know.
Yeah.
emotional turmoil and everything you've been through.
Yeah,
it's understandable.
It's that is it. But I've got to create sustainability. I've got to just carve the best version of me. And of course, like I said to you, I still have my bad days.
Yeah.
The good days outweigh the bad days now. The bad days outweighed the good days years ago.
Yeah, and that shows progress.
Feelings are temporary.
Yeah. So what? So you've gone on through quite a few journeys in terms of your health, well-being.
Yeah.
Physical stuff you're doing at the moment in terms of body transformation stuff.
Yeah.
We see you jumping in and out of hot tubs. I know you probably do, but in and out of cold, hot and cold therapy.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So what's kind of, how's that been helping you?
So through the training in general, it's always been a yo-yo for me. But I feel like it's different now. I do a lot of CrossFit and HIIT workout now.
Okay.
I used to do a lot of running. Through my running journey, that all crashed in lockdown, and I've gone on this journey, but I've sort of fell out of love with running, and I'm in this weight training, HIIT and CrossFit now. So I want to look the best I can. I'm 40 in December. I'll be 40 or next year. You
look younger than me, mate, and I'm younger than you.
Right.
You look right.
Yes. So I'm 39 now. I'm going to be 40 or next year, and I kind of go, next year especially, you want to look the best ever, Rick. You want to be stood there with some stomach muscles going off, some good shape, and people look at you and go,
it's 40.
How old are you? 40. Yeah, you're looking quite good, you. So what do you do? How have you done what you're doing?
I'm a body coach. That's the next thing, isn't it?
I'm going on this body transformation. When you say the word body transformation, you sort of go, oh God, absolutely ripped and lean, and getting the oil on. No, I just want to get to an unreal weight, feel lean, have some good muscle, and just feel incredible.
Feel good, yeah.
But also as well, I've gone on this journey of building a spa in my garden. So me and Jade love spas. I love spas. I believe in well-being and looking after yourself. I thought, go and do it, Rick. I bought a hot tub years ago, proper one, beautiful. Bought a hot tub, and then I thought to myself, it was last year I was looking at the ice bath company, and this this cold therapy, this ice bath therapy, was getting bigger and bigger last year, and it's even bigger now. Yeah. Everyone's getting onto it. And I thought, you know what? So I bought a plunger, the inflatable plungers.
Yeah.
So I bought one of them, and I thought, no, Rick, buy the proper thing. So I rang the ice bath company, and then got talking to them. Anyway, bought the ice bath. The ice bath came back end of last year, and I looked at the benefits of cold water therapy and ice baths and all this other stuff, and I looked at what I'd been through. And I sort of pieced the two together and went, this is going to really elevate you. This is going to change so much for you. I don't think you're going to realise it. So anyway, the ice bath comes in, and I sit in 3 degrees of water every day now.
What have you got, a round one or
it's the oval one?
You got the oval one, have you?
Yeah, same as yours.
Yeah.
So I'm sat in that.
Different kettle of fish from plunger. Just
because
you've got enough water to engulf your body rather than you're touching the sides on a plunger.
Exactly. Do you know on a plunger? I see it, people put the thermostat in amongst ice in the plunger.
That does nothing.
And then you pull it out and they go, yeah, it's 3-4 degrees. No, it isn't. No. 90% of it is 12 degrees, 14 degrees. That bit where the ice is maybe
and that melts quick anyway.
It's and then falls into the 14 degrees. The ice bath, it's a total different ballgame.
Yeah.
I remember when I first stepped in it, oh my God, I nearly had a heart attack. I was grabbing my breath. I also burst into tears.
Okay.
And I broke down. And it was this release of breaking this fear barrier, but also doing something completely different. Anyway, I've gone on this journey of sitting in this ice bath every day, but also as well, I bought the sauna as well from the ice bath company as well. Yeah. So the sauna came earlier this year, and I do hot and cold therapy.
Yeah.
The power of that as a combination, 2-3 degrees of ice water, then into 100 degrees of sauna for 15-20 minutes, and I sometimes get back in the ice bath and back in the sauna, but break the time up. I sleep like a baby.
Yeah.
Like a baby, and feel incredible. The dopamine release, the adrenaline.
You feel great. I mean, anyone that's not tried it, as soon as you get out, and you've achieved it.
Yeah.
I do it because I can't swim. I don't like water. I don't want to go in my ears. I don't want to go underwater. It's not my bag.
Right.
I won't go in the sea. Just I'm scared of it. I don't want to do it, which I need to sort, but that's a different topic. I don't even like going under.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like water. Don't like it.
Wow.
Really cold.
Yeah. Even worse.
Tough. And I thought, I'll probably be able to do it. I've done a Lumi ice bath, little plunger. You know, I've done it when it's frozen over in the garage, January of the previous year. So it's frozen. It's cold. So I've done that. But this was a different experience.
Yeah.
Just the amount of water engulfs your body.
Yeah.
Every bit of you're not leaning against stuff. Every bit of your body's touching 2-3 degrees.
And you literally your neck
You've
down.
got that red.
Yeah.
You come out with the red tan.
Yeah. That's
ginger
it.
anyway, so I got that anyway. But but the sense of getting out. And sometimes you sit in there and you're like, how am I going to sit in there? And then you relax. You get your breathing. You do your 3 minutes at 3 degrees, or your 4 minutes, 4 degrees, whatever. And you think, I can do another minute.
Yeah.
And you talk. I'll talk to myself.
Yeah.
I'll do another minute. Because if I do that, maybe because I'm going to go through that, I might get a little bit of luck this week.
Do you know what
I mean? It's weird stuff like that. You start doing with yourself, don't you?
I don't do it often. I do it probably once every 2 weeks, but I try to just sit in there in amongst my own thoughts, just listening to nature. But sometimes I put music in, so I'll have my headphones in, and I go, "Oh my god, I've done like 4 or 5 minutes."
Yeah.
Because you're gone.
Yeah.
You're not engrossed in. Oh
it's cold. It's cold.
Because even if you just move your fingers, you're going, "Oh my god."
You readjust where you sit, your ass. You readjust your feet, your toes.
For my skin, it's helped so much. My skin, my recovery.
Yeah.
Especially my recovery.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the gym doing whatever, I'm not waking up going, "Oh, I'm stiff," or so you can get on with things the next day.
Yeah.
So, but I'm thinking about soon to step things up in terms of training twice a day.
Okay.
So
you definitely need a bit more recovery from that one.
Yeah.
You've got the right spa.
Yeah.
Spa in the garden to do it.
Yeah, and I've got the fire pit as well and the seating. It's lovely. It's a beautiful
nice little area.
Little spot. Yeah.
Area for you.
It's my area to recharge.
Yeah.
Everyone
needs that.
Yeah, and I sometimes do it on evenings when Hugo goes to sleep and go, I'll have a bit of a garden session or whatever, or if it's in the day, it's in the day. But I try to do that at least 4 or 5 times a week. I write this in my book, Grow Through Grief. Train 5 times a week, get in the ice bath 5 times a week, and have 4 saunas a week, and the rest of my life will just take care of itself.
That's your foundation, that's your routine, that's your grounding.
That's it.
That's what you're doing for you, and you said that before about the focus on yourself to be the best person you can be.
And I've gone on this journey of self-care and self-love, and I've had to, because the loss, the shock, the trauma, the pleasing others, the worrying about what others think, it can destroy you. It destroyed me on many levels, and I've made decisions on stepping forward as well with women and all that sort of stuff and relationships, and I kind of pulled away from it all and gone, no, Rick, you need to do you, and I've been doing this for the last probably 12 to 18 months, self-love and self-care, but also knowing that I'm very much open to see what my second chapter looks like in my life. So
I think that's a positive way to look at it. Like you said, you got choices. You could look at it in a way that you let everything get on top of you, and you don't progress, or you could look at it as an opportunity to do X, Y, and Z for X, Y, and Z reason, for yourself, for Hugo.
I've got hope. I've got hope, and I believe that I will find her. I will find my second chapter. That woman, that person, that will just be incredible on so many levels. For me, my son, our lives, and it will happen.
So what do you think the future looks like for you guys? So you mentioned about that. What's coming next? What do we need to know?
So I've got 3 more episodes coming out on Series 1 on Real with Rick, episode 8, 9 and 10, which will be very powerful going forward, and that sees out Series 1 at Christmas time this year. And I'm making a few decisions in the background in terms of growth of the property business as well, so elevating that forward. I've just taken on a new diploma on cold water therapy.
Spotted that.
Really interested. So I'm doing this, and it's about 200 hours, this course, so and it's just learning about the physics and biology of the link of cold water therapy, ice cold water therapy, to the body. And because I'm doing it, I'm like going, oh wow, I didn't know that. So that I do that, on amongst everything else. I'm still learning the guitar.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's going okay. I do a lesson a week pretty much, and yeah, I try. Do you know what? I try not to think past tomorrow. I just think about today and tomorrow, and I don't think past that.
See, I'll get moaned at for that.
Yeah.
I'll get moaned at for that because I don't plan hard enough.
Right,
Sophie, my partner's like, you only think about the day you're in. You don't think about tomorrow.
Yeah.
You've organised that. You've double booked this. It's like, fucking hell, yeah. Nobody needs to think of it a bit further forward.
It's really interesting with the recording of Real with Rick as well, because the chap Steph who's interviewing me, every time we talk about when we're going to get another episode in, or when shall I come to the studios, or when should we do this, he's like, no, we're not going to do two together, because Rick, your life moves so quick, and what happens in such a short period of time, you could have more content to talk about. You know, so again, that's just my life now, and I just literally go, live in the present. You are here today, you are blessed, you are alive, and you think about tomorrow, and that's it. I just don't want to stress myself with anything else.
Fair enough. So if people want to reach out, Rick, and have a chat with you, open up some dialogue, whether it be about your journey, whether it be about growth for grief, or about the children's book stuff, or just generally about getting advice and support as a fellow widow, or people that have gone through loss for any reason at all, where can people find you? So the books are on Amazon and Waterstones. Grow Through Grief is probably best buying from Waterstones at present, because the paperback's sold out, and all the Hugo and Daddies are on Amazon. So you just type in the search Hugo and Daddies, and all my children's books will be there, alongside my autobiography, Puppy Love, which is spelled with one P in puppy, P-U-P-Y. The reason why that is, and some people have come to me and gone, hang on a minute, you've not even spelled puppy right. Me and Jade used to write notes to each other and call each other puppy all the time, and it was P-U-P-Y, so that's why it's called and spelled like that. So the books are available on all the online major stores, and on the socials, you know, I do promote some good stuff, and everything else that I do pretty much on my Instagram at Richard Hart 786, aka the Widowed Warrior. And people can find me on Facebook just under Rick Hart. Good, brilliant, mate. Well, thanks very much for coming on. There's been so much discussed in what feels like a really short space of time. Look back and think, how's that all sort of crammed into? There's so much in there. You know, there's journey stuff, there's mental health stuff, there's physical health stuff, there's journey, growth, business, grief, so much. So, you know, it's been great to finally meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you.
You know, and find out about what you've been doing, because even if you haven't gone through loss, there's so much that you can take from your story and your journey, especially over the last few years, that you look at, and I personally look at and think, well, when times get difficult for me, what have I got to worry about? You know, what have I got to worry about? As long as you got that hope, you got that goal to punch towards.
I say this in the podcast Real with Rick. The most important thing, and where the gold sits, is your family. Anyone that's got a wife and kids and a family, or vice versa, a husband, kids, family, and are not really appreciating what they've got because of X, Y, or Z, take a step back. It's the best thing you can experience and have on this planet. It's not tangibles, it's not money, it's a family. And it's like you said as well, you know, you know, people are so busy in their own lives, but people can find inspiration in this podcast, even if you haven't lost, because people can be sat in fear, doubt, you know. But I always say, I don't want to be an icon, I want to represent an idea. I want to be representation of an idea to provide hope for people to go, I can think differently. I just have to believe in myself, take the first step. It takes you a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter. And I always say this is my quote, you know, it's all about the journey, it's not about the destination. So if it takes longer to get where you need to be, even better. Because you're engrossed in that journey. And that's it. That is it.
Rick, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Been really great.
Yeah. Good to meet you, man.